Welcome back to the Dark History Style channel. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss another journey into history's darkest chapters. Slavery was never just about chains or the crack of a whip. It became an enormous system built to invent, manufacture, and sell devices designed to dominate human beings as though they were livestock. Every tool had one purpose: to strip away dignity through pain, fear, and humiliation. Iron gags forced mouths open against a person's will. Metal masks prevented people from eating. Spiked collars made something as basic as lying down nearly impossible. Over the next few minutes, we're going to uncover 40 real objects preserved in museums across the United States, Brazil, and Africa. Every one of them was created to injure, scar, or break another human being. Some of what you're about to see is so disturbing that it may stay with you long after this video ends. Now let's begin. Number 1. The Speculum Oris. The speculum oris was originally invented as a medical device. Doctors used it to force open the mouth of a patient suffering from lockjaw so treatment could be given. Aboard slave ships, however, that same instrument was transformed into something horrifying. Captains ordered it used on captive Africans who refused to eat during the Atlantic crossing. Its metal screw forced the jaws apart until the teeth could no longer resist. Once the mouth was held open, food was poured directly down the person's throat. This instrument was never intended to heal anyone. Its only purpose was to keep enslaved people alive long enough to be sold at the end of the voyage. Many captives deliberately refused food. Ship surgeons wrote about this repeatedly. They described the condition as fixed melancholy. Today, historians recognize it differently. It was profound despair. People who had been torn away from their homes, families, and entire worlds often chose starvation rather than spend the rest of their lives enslaved. The speculum oris stole even that final decision. Forced open under enormous pressure, the device frequently shattered teeth and left permanent injuries. Authentic examples still survive. One preserved specimen remains in the slavery collection of the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Perhaps the darkest detail is what the instrument represents. Someone deliberately took a medical tool created to save lives and redesigned its purpose so it could preserve human cargo. The same device that once opened the mouth of a patient now forced open the mouth of someone whose only remaining wish was to die before reaching the auction block. Number 2. The Spiked Iron Collar. One of slavery's cruelest restraints was a heavy iron collar fitted with long metal spikes extending outward from the neck. The abolitionist Theodore Weld described the case of a young seamstress near Charleston who repeatedly tried to escape slavery. Every failed attempt brought another brutal whipping. Eventually, her owners chose a different punishment. They locked the spiked collar around her neck. The projecting spikes caught on tree branches, fences, bushes, and nearly every obstacle in the forest. Running became almost impossible. Even resting was difficult. Lying down meant the spikes dug into the ground and into the body itself. But the punishment did not end there. To make sure she could always be identified if she escaped again, one of her perfectly healthy front teeth was pulled out. Not because it was diseased. Not because it was damaged. It became an identification mark. Her body itself became a permanent record. The collar restrained movement. The missing tooth restrained identity. If she ever escaped again, anyone reading a runaway advertisement would immediately recognize her. It was calculated cruelty carried out without anger. Witnesses carefully recorded these details in writing. Nothing about it was accidental. Number 3. The Branding Iron. The branding iron treated human beings exactly as ranchers treated livestock. The iron was heated until it glowed red. Then it was pressed into flesh, permanently burning the owner's initials into the skin. Branding served two purposes. It declared ownership. It also ensured that escape could never erase a person's past. The scar remained for life. After Union troops captured New Orleans, groups of formerly enslaved people reached military camps seeking freedom. Among one group of 105 people, 30 carried branding scars burned into their bodies. 4 had been branded directly on the forehead. The others bore marks across their chests or arms. These were not isolated incidents. They all came from a single plantation. Union soldiers who met them later described their shock at seeing so many permanently marked people. The forehead brands were especially devastating. Unlike marks hidden beneath clothing, they could never be concealed. One formerly enslaved man named Wilson Chin carried the letters VBM burned above his eyes. Those initials belonged to the Louisiana sugar planter who had once claimed ownership over him. When abolitionists photographed Wilson Chin, that image spread across the nation. His scarred face became undeniable evidence of slavery's brutality. The branding iron itself was inexpensive, simple. small enough to fit comfortably into one hand. Yet it became one of history's most effective tools for transforming a human being into property bearing its owner's permanent signature. Number 4. Children's shackles. Ankle shackles formed the foundation of the entire slave trade. Iron cuffs connected by solid bars were locked around a captive's legs from the very moment they were seized. Among the most chilling discoveries ever recovered from a slave ship came from the wreck of the Henrietta Marie, which sank around the year 1700. Divers found more than 80 sets of shackles. Many were far too small for adults. They had been specially forged for children. Think about what that required. A blacksmith measured the ankles of children, then carefully crafted iron restraints to match those exact sizes. Nothing about it happened by chance. It was custom work. For a brief moment, they experienced a small reminder of the place where hundreds of captives once endured unimaginable suffering. Number 5. The suicide nets. Not every object aboard a slave ship existed to inflict pain. Some existed to prevent choice. Heavy nets stretched along both sides of many slave ships. Their purpose was singular. They stopped imprisoned Africans from throwing themselves into the sea. For many captives, drowning represented one final act of resistance. Some believed death in the ocean would allow their spirits to return home to Africa. The nets were designed to deny even that possibility. One survivor later wrote that if he had managed to climb past those nets, he would have immediately leaped into the water. He never got the chance. Standing nearby was another grim structure known as the barricade. It divided the ship in half and provided cover for the crew. Small cannons were mounted there so sailors could fire directly into the captives if an uprising began. Every feature aboard the vessel served the same purpose: prevent escape, prevent resistance, prevent death on one's own terms. Every possible choice had already been taken away. Number 6. The rawhide whip. Few symbols of slavery are as instantly recognizable as the rawhide whip. That is because it was not reserved for extraordinary punishment. It was part of everyday life. Overseers and plantation owners relied on it to enforce obedience through constant fear and unbearable pain. One preserved example remains on display inside the Slavery and Freedom Gallery at the National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington. At first glance, it appears deceptively simple: a leather lash attached to a wooden handle. Yet in practiced hands, a few carefully delivered strikes could tear flesh apart, opening deep wounds across a person's back. Perhaps no image captured its effects more powerfully than one famous 19th century photograph. A man who escaped slavery eventually reached a Union military camp. When doctors examined him, they found his back covered with thick, twisted scars layered over one another from years of repeated beatings. Military photographers documented those scars. The photograph spread throughout the country. It needed no explanation. Without a single spoken word, it revealed exactly what slavery looked like. The whip eventually stopped moving. The wounds eventually closed. But the scars remained for the rest of that man's life. Number 7. The sweat box. The sweat box was exactly what its name suggested: a cramped wooden or metal enclosure just large enough to imprison a single person. Once locked inside, there was almost no room to move. Fresh air barely entered. When left beneath the blazing sun, temperatures inside climbed higher and higher with every passing hour. This punishment appeared during slavery and later continued inside prisons throughout the American South. Even Union military camps occasionally adopted similar confinement during the Civil War. Its cruelty rested in its simplicity. No overseer needed to stand nearby with a whip. No obvious injuries covered the victim's body. The punishment carried itself out. Thirst, claustrophobia, exhaustion. Because visible scars were rare, owners often preferred the sweat box. It allowed them to break a person's spirit while avoiding damage to someone they still intended to sell, rent, or force to work. Pain without witnesses. Suffering without obvious evidence. Punishment hidden behind closed walls. Number 8. The thumb screw. Unlike many other instruments, the thumb screw was small enough to disappear inside a pocket. Its size made it no less terrifying. 2 iron rings enclosed the victim's thumbs. A screw mechanism slowly tightened until the bones and joints were crushed beneath increasing pressure. The agony came gradually. Every turn of the key increased the pain. Sometimes it was used to force confessions. Other times it served simply as punishment. In 1848, the abolitionist newspaper The North Star described slave trading depots in Maryland as being equipped with thumb screws, iron gags, and other devices of restraint. Across Brazil, the same instrument acquired an almost unbelievable nickname. People called it anjinhos, meaning little angels. Nothing about the device deserved such a gentle name. Its iron jaws slowly crushed fingers until victims screamed in agony. Originally developed centuries earlier in medieval Europe to force confessions from prisoners, the thumb screw crossed the Atlantic and found new purpose within slavery. Its sweet nickname disguised unimaginable cruelty. The name sounded innocent. The pain certainly was not. Number 9, the cat o' nine tails. This was no ordinary whip. Instead of one leather lash, it carried 9 separate strands extending from a single handle. Many of those strands ended in tightly tied knots. Each strike landed 9 times at once. Instead of opening one wound, it opened many. The cat o' nine tails became especially common aboard slave ships and within naval punishment. Those knots served an important purpose. They caught the skin. They tore flesh with every impact. The suffering multiplied without requiring greater strength from the person delivering the blow. Interestingly, this design was far older than the Atlantic slave trade itself. Versions of multi-strand whips existed in ancient Egypt thousands of years earlier. When slavery demanded an instrument capable of inflicting maximum damage inside crowded ship holds, the design returned. 9 strands, 9 wounds, 1 swing. Its appearance suggested discipline. Its true purpose was calculated brutality. Number 10, the tin mask. Among the most recognizable artifacts of Brazilian slavery is the tin mask. Constructed from thin sheets of metal, it often covered nearly the entire face. A padlock secured it behind the head. Only a handful of tiny breathing holes remained. Anyone forced to wear it could neither eat nor drink unless someone deliberately removed the mask. Entire days sometimes passed this way. No food, no water, no relief. It may sound like punishment reserved for violent crimes. Usually it was not. Many enslaved people received the mask simply for stealing small amounts of sugar or sugarcane. In reality, they were punished for trying to eat the very crops they had spent countless hours producing. Other historical accounts describe another horrifying purpose. Some desperate captives attempted to eat dirt in hopes of ending their own lives. The mask prevented even that. It denied nourishment. It denied water. It denied escape through death. With one lock, it sealed both the mouth and the person's fate. Number 11, the parrot's perch. One of the cruelest punishments used on Brazilian plantations became known as the parrot's perch. Despite its harmless-sounding name, the device inflicted unbearable suffering. A wooden or iron pole was placed behind the victim's knees. Their wrists and ankles were then tightly bound together, forcing the body to fold around the bar. Suspended in that position, the person hung upside down or remained painfully bent over, completely unable to move. Every passing minute increased the agony. Body weight strained the shoulders. The knees screamed under pressure. Blood rushed toward the head. Muscles cramped. Joints burned. Minutes slowly became hours. The device required almost no engineering. No gears. No complicated machinery. Only a single pole and several ropes. Yet it transformed the body into its own instrument of torture. Long after slavery officially ended, the same punishment appeared again during darker chapters of Brazilian history. The principle never changed. The body itself became the weapon. Those who designed the parrot's perch understood one terrifying truth. Sometimes time causes more pain than violence itself. Number 12, the gibbet cage. The gibbet was not meant for the living. It was built for the dead. After an execution, the body was placed inside an iron cage shaped roughly like the human figure. Instead of receiving a burial, the corpse remained suspended from a post in full public view. Days turned into weeks. Sometimes weeks became months. The body slowly decomposed where everyone could see it. Its purpose was simple: fear. Throughout parts of the Caribbean, enslaved people accused of rebellion were sometimes displayed this way after execution. The message was directed at those still alive. Every captive passing beneath that hanging cage understood exactly what rebellion might cost. One preserved gibbet once formed part of an exhibit at the Institute of Jamaica alongside branding irons and other punishment devices. Together, they represented different pieces of the same machinery of terror. Although gibbet cages were also used against ordinary criminals in other countries, slavery gave them another role. They became warnings that never stopped speaking, even after death. Number 13, the iron muzzle. Unlike the full-face tin mask, the iron muzzle covered only the lower half of the face. A rigid metal frame surrounded the mouth. Perforated bars allowed breathing while preventing normal eating or drinking. The victim's eyes remained uncovered. Everything else remained imprisoned. One of the earliest descriptions came from Olaudah Equiano, who had himself been enslaved as a child. He deliberately referred to the device as an iron muzzle. That word carried enormous meaning. A muzzle belongs on an animal, not a human being. Anyone forced to wear it was treated no differently than livestock prevented from feeding. An authentic example survives today inside London's Sir John Soane's museum. Its metal bars covered the mouth. But symbolically, the device attempted something even greater. It tried to erase the humanity of the person trapped behind it. Number 14. The tread wheel. Imagine climbing an endless staircase. Now imagine being forced to continue for hours with no possibility of stopping. That was the tread wheel. An enormous rotating wheel fitted with wooden steps. Victims climbed continuously while their wrists remained tied to a support beam above their heads. If exhaustion caused someone to stumble, the wheel never stopped. Its moving steps dragged legs downward, scraping skin against rough wood again and again. Eventually flesh tore open. In 1837, British abolitionists published engravings showing this punishment in Jamaican houses of correction. The illustrations shocked readers across Britain. Even Jamaica's own governor condemned what was happening. He reported that women were being whipped while forced onto these wheels. He insisted the practice violated existing law. Nothing changed. The assembly ignored his complaints. The wheel continued turning. Originally designed to grind grain, it eventually ground down human bodies instead. Hour after hour, step after step, until legs simply refused to move anymore. Number 15. The Palmatoria. Compared with iron collars and chains, the Palmatoria looked almost harmless. It was nothing more than a round wooden paddle, usually drilled with several holes. Its appearance concealed its true purpose. Blows landed across the palms of the hands or the soles of the feet. Again, and again, and again. The holes allowed air to pass through during each strike, increasing both speed and force. Bruises darkened. Skin split open. Pain lingered for days. Perhaps the most disturbing fact about the Palmatoria is how long it survived. Even after slavery ended, similar paddles continued appearing inside rural Brazilian schools. Children struck across the hands received punishments nicknamed bolos. The same instrument also appeared inside police stations well into the 20th century. Its popularity came from one simple advantage. It was inexpensive, easy to make, easy to hide. Unlike many torture devices, it left relatively few obvious marks. The tools simply moved from plantations to classrooms and prisons. Its victims changed. Its purpose never did.